Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I'd like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Do you find it difficult to come up with content ideas for your podcast? Or perhaps you've gotten stuck during an interview with a guest where you just have nothing more to ask? Try Poddex today. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from episode ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards, pick one at random, hit the record button, and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment. All with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. And this episode is especially for the Content Creators of Color Collective. Welcome. Today I want to take a look back at a case that really ignited a movement. The Travyon Martin matter. February 26 will mark the 10-year anniversary of the death of Travyon Martin. We may remember February 26 on 2012, Travyon Martin, who was 17, left a relative's home in Sanford, Florida to go to a local 7-Eleven for a bag of Skittles and a beverage. As he walked home, he encountered George Zimmerman, who was a neighborhood watch captain who called 911 and reported seeing a person who looked suspicious. Zimmerman confronted Travyon. After the confrontation escalated, Zimmerman shot and killed Travyon Martin. The death of Travyon Martin sparked the Black Lives Matter movement, but 10 years later, have things really changed in a significant way? We want to take a look back at the incident concerning Travyon Martin as we remember him. And there's also a recent update concerning George Zimmerman and the family of Travyon Martin that we will share as well. If you've heard me speak about the reason why I've started this podcast, or the reason why I was inspired to start this podcast, then you've heard me talk about how I was inspired by the death of George Floyd and the death of Michael Brown, the reopening of the Michael Brown case, and the aftermath and the actions that the community took. And so you can't really have that conversation without looking at the Travyon Martin case. So it's really appropriate to talk about Travyon Martin and honor him as we look back on the 10-year anniversary of his passing. There's a really interesting article in New York Magazine that covers the 10-year anniversary of Travyon Martin. And in it shows us that Black Lives Matter has grown from a hashtag to a protester's cry to a cultural force that has reshaped American politics, society, and daily life. I feel that that is accurate. Now more than ever before in history, we see politicians and athletes and journalists and all the figures in the media talking and speaking about the deaths of African Americans more regularly than ever before. And it's because of cases like Travyon Martin, George Floyd, Michael Brown, and the fact that they keep happening over and over again. And mind you, there's so many other cases that we don't know their names and their significant hashtags too. Carrie Ball and others. We could go on and on. So let's take a look back at the timeline, and we will bring you back to where we stand today with that update that I did mention. So February 26th, there's that horrible confrontation with Travyon Martin and George Zimmerman, which results in Zimmerman shooting and killing Travyon Martin. On February 28th of 2012, the Travyon Martin family retained Benjamin Crump for their lawyer. He was known for representing the parents of Martin Lee Anderson, a black 14-year-old who had died at a Florida juvenile justice boot camp for teens in 2006 after being beaten and suffocated by guards. Crump had helped the Andersons reach a $5 million settlement with the state. On March 8th, 2012, Crump and the Travyon Martin family file a wrongful death lawsuit and demand that the law enforcement hand over 911 tapes of the call made during the incident. They also authorized a petition on change.org calling for Zimmerman to be prosecuted for murder. By the end of the month, it will gather more than 2.2 million signatures. On March 19th, 2012, Florida Governor Rick Scott asked the State Department of Law Enforcement to open an investigation into the Travyon Martin shooting. March 20th, the Justice Department and FBI also opened an investigation into the Travyon Martin death. A Florida state attorney announces that a grand jury will convene in April. March 21st, a Million Hoodies movement for justice is created by Daniel Marie, a 25-year-old, to call for the arrest of George Zimmerman. A Million Hoodies march is held in Union Square. On March 23rd, 2012, President Obama speaks on the killing of Travyon Martin for the first time, and we may remember him famously saying that if I had a son, he'll look like Travyon. On March 23rd, 2012, in Miami's game with the Detroit Pistons, some of the players of the teams play in sneakers with messages R.I.P. Travyon Martin and we want justice on them. March 26th, 6 senators from New York City wear hoodies in the Capitol chamber. One of them is a state senator from Brooklyn named Eric Adams. On April 11, 2012, George Zimmerman is arrested and charged with second-degree murder. His supporters quickly raised more than $200,000 in donations for his defense. On July 13, 2013, after 16 hours of deliberation, a jury of 6 women found Zimmerman not guilty. On July 13, 2013, amid the public outrage at the Zimmerman verdict, a 32-year-old organizer named Alicia Garza from Oakland, California, posted on her Facebook page a love letter to Black people, and it ended with, "Black people, I love you, I love us, our lives matter." Patrice Cullors, a 30-year-old anti-incarceration organizer in LA and a friend of Garza, started posting with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Overnight, Cullors posted on Garza's Facebook page, twin hashtag Black Lives Matter campaign. And so that essentially was the birth of the Black Lives Matter hashtag. Yeah, this information comes from New York Magazine. It's just really interesting how all of these different events, it also outlines and pinpoints a lot of the other murders of young Black people that occurred right after Travyon Martin. This article was very interesting. It brought to light the significance and impact of that moment in time, the Travyon Martin killing and the Black Lives Matter movement, what the birth of that movement meant to the culture. So wanted to pivot and discuss the update in the George Zimmerman update. He filed a lawsuit against the family of Travyon Martin back in 2019. And so the update is that a judge in Florida has finally dismissed the defamation and conspiracy lawsuit that George Zimmerman had filed against the parents of Travyon Martin. Now, Judge John Cooper in Tallahassee dismissed all counts against all defendants in the lawsuit filed by Zimmerman against his parents, Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, attorney Benjamin Crump, who represented the family, and others. In his order, the judge wrote that Zimmerman had failed to show any fraudulent representation and that any other further arguments in the case would be futile. It goes on to state there can be no claim for conspiracy to defraud if there is no adequately stated claim for fraud. The other individuals who were named as defendants were HarperCollins Publishers, which had published a book that the parents of Travyon Martin wrote, and Brittany Diamond Eugene and Rachel Gentile, who were named as witnesses in the original case against George Zimmerman. It appears he tried to allege that Rachel Gentile was a fake witness, and so she pretended that she was the one that Travyon Martin was talking to on the phone before he was shot. And so his lawsuit alleged that Brittany Diamond Eugene was actually the person who he was talking to, but she didn't want to testify. And so her half-sister, Rachel Gentile, pretended that she was the one, and Gentile ended up testifying. However, I guess they were not able to disprove that. I'm not sure where his claim for that particular narrative came from. This information comes from NBC News regarding the basis of Zimmerman's lawsuit. It has now been dismissed as of February the 17th, 2022. So he was suing for $100 million. So, it's just really kind of sad. It's not enough that he killed Travyon Martin, who was unarmed over 10 years ago. And, he did not face any charges, but to go and then sue his parents. It's just, it takes a lot of nerve to do something like that. So, wanted to share this information with you as we remember the life of Travyon Martin and what he meant to the movement. We definitely lift him up and his family, and rest in power to Travyon Martin. Thank you guys for listening as always, and take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out, and also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening, and take care.